Hello, I'm Mihiri Jans from the Postgraduate Institute of English, Open University of Sri Lanka. Today, I'm happy to be here to talk to you about mobile phones and language learning. My presentation is divided into three sections. First, I'm going to talk about mobile phone ownership and usage in Sri Lanka. Next, I'm going to look at how mobile phones have impacted language itself. And finally, maybe most importantly, I'm going to look at how you can use your mobile phone to improve your command of English. Now, when we think about the power of the mobile phone, we know that, or you may not know this, 70% of our Sri Lankan population have a mobile phone. So that's a lot of people. And they use it for different purposes, both social and business. An example would be your taxi driver or people who work as for manual labor. They use mobile phones to be more accessible and to improve their business opportunities. So it's very democratic, the mobile phone. To give you a little bit of a better view of mobile phone ownership in Sri Lanka, let's look at this graph. You can see that from 2008 to 2009, the rate at which people were acquiring phones in Sri Lanka has increased rapidly. In fact, it's a faster rate than the rest of the world and other countries, other developing countries and the Asia-Pacific region. However, after 2009, though the rate at which people were acquiring phones has slowed down, the actual numbers in terms of for every 100 people, how many people had mobile phones? Well, in Sri Lanka, that number is higher than that of other developing nations and significantly higher than those in the Asia and Pacific region. However, if you look at mobile phones with broadband enabled access, you find a different picture. In 2011, for every 100 people, only 4 people had a phone with a broadband. Whereas in the Asia-Pacific region, for every 100 people, 11 people had broadband-enabled phones. But these statistics are from 2011, and I anticipate that these numbers would have changed by now quite dramatically. Moving on to the next part of this presentation, let's look at the impact of the mobile and as well as the internet on language. It's really quite interesting how all over the world people are using abbreviations rather than actual words. Now, these abbreviations do stand for something like LOL, which means laugh out loud, or FYI, for your information. One way to say great, GR8, you write it like that. And less commonly but quite funny is ruffle, roll on the floor laughing. And a very interesting fact about these abbreviations is that some of them have even made it into the Oxford Dictionary. So, LOL is a word by the standards of the Oxford Dictionary makers. Another very common thing in this new language, in texting, which you could find even in emails, in chat, in texts, and even in other things, are emojis or emotional icons. And one of the most common is the smiley face. I'm sure you've used it as well. Another example of how language has changed is in countries like Sri Lanka and other countries where English is used as a second or foreign language. The English script on your phone is used to write or talk in another language, like the example here on your slide. And the final example that I can show you of how the mobile has impacted language itself is the fact that texting and social media is actually replacing our face-to-face conversations. Even phone calls themselves, we prefer to text rather than to talk. In a nutshell, there are both positive and negative impacts of the mobile phone on both language and language learning. Now, if you look at the positive aspects, you can use your mobile phone to learn a language, and I'll talk about this a little later in the presentation. And it makes language really visual. And it also contributes to the natural evolution of language. But if you look at the negative side, the fact that language is changing means that language itself changes so much we might not even be able to communicate with each other, which is the whole purpose of a language in the first place. And another problem would be that it makes language learning just a little bit more difficult because it's added this other dimension to language, a informal written style which is not quite talking and not quite writing. So that makes language learning just a little bit harder. Moving on to the next part of my presentation, I'm going to talk about how you can use your mobile phone to help you improve your language capabilities. Now, it depends also on the type of phone that you have. Do you have a first generation analog phone or do you have a smartphone? Well, it doesn't matter. With either phone, you can do quite a lot. Now, if you have an analog phone, you can use the dictionary function to check spelling or learn a new word. You could use your phone to text and talk to a friend in English. You can even start a chain story using the texting function on your phone. Now, that's something a little different to what you do with paper and pen. You can take photographs of interesting things that you see written in English. These could be signboards or even essays, model essays. Use the record function of your phone to record classes. Or you can even subscribe to vocabulary classes via SMS. Many mobile phone service providers in the country provide this service for a very affordable rate. Now, what if you have a smartphone or an internet-enabled phone? Well, then you can still use all the functions of an analog phone, but you also have the added benefit of the internet, which means that if you have any doubt about vocabulary or grammar, you can use your phone to just instantly go to the internet and check it out. You can also download dictionary that you can refer to offline. Another thing that comes with smartphones is apps. Now, there are plenty of language learning apps for English and probably other languages as well. What I would recommend, though, is that you don't try to download too many apps. Download one or two. Look at the star rating on the app and download an app. Check it out. If it doesn't work for you, just put it away and download another one. Another thing that you can do is use your phone to go to YouTube and other video sharing sites and watch videos in English. Now, these could be educational videos that would teach you about grammar or vocabulary or how to write, how to cite things, or they could be just fun videos like Vsauce. All in all, YouTube is a great resource for you to view a lot of stuff in English that will help you with language learning. You can also use Twitter, if you have heard of it. It's called microblogging. And this means that you would be able to improve your summary skills because you have to write in very short bursts if you are using Twitter. Another app that you can download to help you with reading is something like Kindle, where you can download books onto your phone and read these books wherever you are, anytime, anywhere, because it's on your mobile phone. Now, one word of caution, though, data that you need to run your mobile phones for smartphones costs money. So do be careful about that. But I'm very happy that there's going to be this special Google Loon project that's going to make Wi-Fi affordable for all of us all over Sri Lanka. So that's some good news. And don't forget, phones are good, but people are even better. Face-to-face talking, nothing can beat it. So don't become antisocial in the process of using your phone to learn a language and do everything else that you're doing. To conclude, I'd like to summarize the points that I discussed in this presentation. Mobile phones are used by a major proportion of the Sri Lankan population, but smartphones are not as common. Mobile phones have had a major impact on language. The way we talk and the way we communicate has changed. And you can use your mobile phone in various ways to learn English and to improve your proficiency. That's all for today. Thank you and good luck.